Yes, so welcome everybody. I see people joining in. Today we are going to talk about a very relevant topic, and that's bouncing back after job loss. We're living in unprecedented times because of the pandemic. Many companies and their businesses have been affected. As a result, they've had to change their job strategy, their business strategies, because of which we're seeing a lot of layoffs happening. We are seeing reduction in workforce, and we are seeing businesses changing and realigning their business strategies and organizations. Many of my friends have been affected because of this and are laid off. And I have been coaching and mentoring quite a few people in my network in terms of how to recover from job loss. And today I'm going to share those tips with you as well. It's actually a 10-step process. So let's get started. First and foremost is to accept the situation. It's extremely important to understand that your job loss has nothing to do with your ability to perform. It's not personal. When you receive a message that your job has been eliminated or your position has been eliminated, remember that it has to do everything with the position or the job role, but um, not with you or your performance. And that is the hardest part in the whole process, because when you get the news, the first thing that comes to mind is why me. The second thing that comes to mind is um, why not others? Who else was impacted? I want to know it all. um, because it's so emotional. We spend so much of our lives nowadays at work. We are connected to the job roles. We have an emotional attachment with our employer and our co-workers. And the mere fact of not having the job tomorrow or not being able to connect with these people is very hard to accept. It's equally hard to accept the fact that this happened because of a change in business strategy and not because um, because of your performance or your capabilities. It has nothing to do with that. Um, I've been part of many layoffs being in the Silicon Valley. I have been the bearer of bad news many times, in spite of however hard I tried. Um, and even though I want to provide all that emotional support and provide all the information around why the decision was made or how the decision was made to the employee that was getting laid off, I really can't share all that information. So if you are getting laid off, or you have been laid off, or you have been uh, rift, please understand that it has nothing to do with your capability. The second step is to talk to your family. Um, I know of many of my friends who do not feel comfortable sharing the news with their family right away. Everybody has a different way to process the information, but it's extremely important to share the news with your family. Your routine is going to change over, next few months. You will be on job interviews. You'll be preparing for job interviews. You will not have a steady stream of income, and it's very important for your family to know and understand that this is a phase that you're going through, and for them to be able to provide you the support, emotional as well as logistical support that you need to be able to find your next job or your next whatever your next career move is going to be. So that's another important aspect. The third is to take time to process the grief. Job loss is like any other loss: loss of family, loss of a loved one. It's it's uh, it's it's a process, and you have to give it some time, and you have to accept it, and you have to process the grief. Now, everybody processes grief differently. Some people like to get on the phone and talk it out. Some people like to get in their own shell and process that whole information before they can share it with their friends and network, and that's perfectly okay. Just know that you cannot be in a state of grief forever. And that's important. You have to give it the time that you need to process that grief and then move on. But it's important to understand that you have to move on. You cannot be in that state of grief forever. And now the fourth step is, which needs to happen, on the day of or the next day, is completing all the paperwork. And this can be a really emotional step. Signing those papers of separation, returning your company assets, returning your badge, access badge. This can be really hard and emotional. Allow yourself to be emotional. This is natural. Don't try to suppress your feelings at that time, and take time. If you're not ready to sign it on in that particular moment when you receive your separation papers, that's okay. But know that most of the times these separation papers come with a deadline, so it's important to acknowledge that and move on. um, you'll be surprised how attached you could get to your laptop or your company assets when you have to return them. So acknowledge that, be prepared for that. The fifth step is to actually understand your separation package. It's very important to understand what your separation package looks like. Um, your separation package would come with some months of salary. It might come with some additional severage benefits, like additional health benefits for a couple of months, or many companies nowadays, former employers are now providing emotional support counseling to the employees who have been laid off. Airbnb, for example, provided uh, lot of benefits to the people who were laid off, and they actually allowed the employees to keep their laptops as well. So understand what your severance package looks like. Understand what are the benefits your company is providing um, to you. They might be, resume writing clinics that they are holding. There might be some assistance in terms of how to find your next job, some emotional counseling or professional counseling that they are offering. So understand what those opportunities are for you to leverage to be able to find your next role. The sixth step is to design your next career move. I've always noticed that when one door closes, there are many doors that open for you, but you have to be alert enough to understand and to recognize when the doors open for you. That's the most important part. So you know when you get laid off, the immediate tendency is, I need to find a job ASAP. There's a steady stream of income that was coming. Suddenly I have no job, I don't have a steady stream of income coming, I feel worthless, I need to find my next job. But at this time, what you want to do is, you really want to understand what are your options, right? If you are in early stage of your career, and or if you have been thinking about a career change, a change in the job area, then you might want to go back to school, take time to learn a new skill. If there is a startup idea that has been brewing up in your mind, then this is an opportunity for you to start your entrepreneurship career and see if you want to continue going that path and give it a try, or if you want to stay in a particular job role, but when in a in corporate job, but you were not finding your previous job compelling enough, and you want to change from one job function to another job function. This is an opportunity for you to look at it. So for example, if you were a hardcore engineer but you like more customer facing roles and want to be in professional services, or you want to be in a customer success organization, this is your opportunity to do that. So take time to figure out what would truly make you happy in your next role, before you start jumping on trying to find your next job. The seventh step is to actually update your resume and your punchline. Now, this is extremely important. None of us is expecting a riff. Most of the times, we're not expecting a riff or a layoff to happen. So our resume is not updated. Most of the times, our LinkedIn profile is not updated. we don't have a punchline ready, right? What sets us apart and why I'm the right candidate or what I'm looking for. Now, when you start talking to your network, or when you start putting yourself out, which we're going to talk about in step 8th and 9th, you really need to have your resume in place, right? And you need to cater that resume, you need to align that resume with what you want in your next career move. So this is really important. Update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, and also make sure that you have a short blurb about yourself ready, so that when you start talking to your network, they can leverage that blurb to reach out to their network and help and support you. So with that, it's a good segue into our step number 8, which is reaching out to your network. Now, many people feel hesitant about it because there's a stigma attached with getting laid off, right? We all feel that it's personal. There's a sense of embarrassment and something, something that we are ashamed of. But the reality is that, if you have really done step number 1, which is accepting your situation, and step number 3, which is taking time to process your grief, you feel comfortable and confident telling your network what happened, and then quickly move on to what you're looking for in your next role, right? As opposed to getting on a phone call with somebody whom you know in your network and talking to them about 10-15 minutes about the layoff, right? You do not want to focus on the layoff piece. You need to acknowledge that and quickly move on to what you are looking for in your next opportunity. um, there's a question which is on how do you recommend addressing gaps in your resume when you're laid off, and that's a very good segue into our step number 9, which is to sign up for consulting engagements or for volunteering opportunities. Now, signing up for consulting engagements with companies like GLG and Alpha Insights, what it does is you work with them on project basis. So consulting calls, like 1 hour long calls or 30-minute long calls, where you get an opportunity to share your professional expertise with companies who are looking for your expertise. That is a great filler for your resume gap. Another thing is when you take on courses, you invest time in yourself, and you can put in that you actually took this time off to upskill yourself, and that's another way to address the gap in your resume. But um, and again, volunteering is another way to fill gaps in your resume. One word of caution that I want to put out is don't get sucked into too much of volunteering. Remember that looking for a job is a full-time job in itself. So you want to make sure that how much time you are putting in volunteering and other activities actually allows you to do your job search as you need it. So so that's great. One thing that consulting also does is when you're consulting, you get paid, you get an opportunity to set your hourly rate. One thing that it does is it takes the pressure off you. Helps build your confidence, because when you get laid off, there is a tendency to think that you're worthless, or the fact that you were not good enough in your job and that's why you were laid off, while none of that is true. So, consulting and being able to share your knowledge with the companies that need it actually helps you build up your confidence and helps you also prepare for the interviews that will come your way as you start applying for jobs or while you're applying for jobs. And then the 10th step that I have for you is the most important step, which is create your schedule for job search. As I mentioned, searching for a job is a full-time job in itself, and it's very natural to get sucked into, for example, just talking to people the whole day, or to just frenetically looking for jobs on LinkedIn and other places. It's important that you set your schedule, understand, for example, how many people are you going to be contacting, which are the key people in your network that um, you want to reach out to, how you're going to build your personal brand, how you're going to project yourself on LinkedIn, how you're going to reach out to people, when are you go, which companies do you want to target for job search, how you're going to leverage your connections or find connections who work in those companies where, or future employers where you're really focused on. So that's a complete live session, I think, in itself. And I will be online over the weekend to talk about some of these. So if you haven't done that yet, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and click on that notification icon so that you know next time when I'm online and when I'm live. um, if you have any questions, please put those questions out um, on YouTube in the comment section, and I will be happy to answer those. uh, uh, I wish you all the best in your job search, and let's go and empower the world and get our next gig that works for everybody. Thanks. Bye.